In our increasingly digital lives, one phenomenon that you cannot avoid hearing or reading about these days is artificial intelligence. Reams of print have been devoted all over the world to decode, dissect and debate the power of AI and what it means in our rapidly changing world. Many have hailed the advent of artificial intelligence as a game changer, while many others are repeatedly warning against it. Now, no less than the United Nations has expressed alarm over AI and wants it regulated. Recently, UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres said the malicious use of AI systems for terrorist, criminal or state purposes could cause horrific levels of death and destruction, widespread trauma and deep psychological damage on an unimaginable scale. Generative AI has enormous potential for good and evil at scale. Its creators themselves have warned that much bigger, potentially catastrophic and existential risks lie ahead. The Secretary General has in fact called for a new UN body to tackle the threats posed by this technology. He said AI-enabled cyber attacks were already targeting UN peacekeeping and humanitarian operations. Guterres was speaking at the very first UN Security Council session on AI. Listing the dangers involved, the Secretary General said the advent of generative AI, the term for AI tools such as ChatGPT, could be a defining moment for disinformation and hate speech and add a new dimension to the manipulation of human behavior. Calling for the setting up of a new UN entity along the lines of the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change or the International Atomic Energy Agency, Guterres said the overarching goal of this body would be to support countries to maximize the benefits of AI for good, to mitigate existing and potential risks, and to establish and administer internationally agreed mechanisms of monitoring and governance. The UN Secretary General added that by 2026, the UN should develop a legally binding agreement banning the use of AI in completely automated weapons of war. This UN session was chaired by the UK and its Foreign Secretary James Cleverly, opened the proceedings with a call for global governance of AI, saying, and I quote, "We urgently need to shape the global governance of transformative technologies because AI knows no borders. No country will be untouched by AI. It could enhance or disrupt global strategic stability. It challenges our fundamental assumptions about defense and deterrence. It poses moral questions about accountability for lethal decisions on the battlefield. AI could aid the reckless quest for weapons of mass destruction by state and non-state actors alike. But it could also help us stop proliferation." Interestingly, one country that seemed to express its displeasure with this discourse is China, with many interpreting its stance as a reflection of Beijing's growing tensions with the United States. Fact is, AI is already all-pervasive. It has swept across institutions as diverse as universities, factories, media companies, governments, and even amusement parks. According to accounting and research firm PricewaterhouseCoopers, by 2030, AI could contribute up to $15.7 trillion to the global economy. That's more than the current annual output of China and India combined. A report by investment bank Goldman Sachs suggests that AI could replace the equivalent of 300 million full-time jobs across the globe as certain tasks and job functions become automated. That would be equal to a quarter of all the work that people do currently in the United States and all of Europe. Proponents of AI say the technology could increase productivity, automate mundane tasks, and afford the opportunity to focus on creative and innovative endeavors. Detractors, however, warn that AI could supercharge the spread of misinformation, hate speech, and deceptive information, such as deepfake videos and audio. The technology could even pose an existential threat for humanity, some experts have warned. On the one hand, experts say generative AI could help end poverty or cure cancer. On the other, the technology could have very serious consequences for global peace and security. The question we're asking on Global Lens tonight is this: is artificial intelligence a force for good, or do we need to seriously worry about the evil it can unleash on our world? And what can countries, governments, and the United Nations do to regulate artificial intelligence to ensure that the catastrophic consequences that we are being warned about do not become a reality?
Clear that AI will have an impact on every area of our lives, including the 3 pillars of the United Nations. It has the potential to turbocharge global development, from monitoring the climate crisis to breakthroughs in medical research, It offers new potential to realize human rights, particularly to health and education. But the High Commissioner for Human Rights has expressed alarm over evidence that AI can amplify bias, reinforce discrimination, and enable new levels of authoritarian surveillance. Generative AI has enormous potential for good and evil at scale. Its creators themselves have warned that much bigger, potentially catastrophic and existential risks lie ahead. Without action to address these risks, we are derelict in our responsibilities to present and future generations. To be clear, the malicious use of AI systems for terrorist, criminal, or state purposes could cause horrific levels of death and destruction, widespread trauma, and deep psychological damage on an unimaginable scale. I urge the Council to approach this technology with a sense of urgency, a global lens, and a learner's mindset. Because what we have seen is just the beginning. Never again will technological innovation move as slow as it is moving today.
We are here today because AI will affect the work of this Council. It could enhance or disrupt global strategic stability. It challenges our fundamental assumptions about defence and deterrence. It poses moral questions about accountability for lethal decisions on the battlefield. The UK is home to many of the world's trailblazing AI developers and foremost AI safety researchers. So this autumn, the UK plans to bring together world leaders for the first major global summit on AI safety. Our shared goal will be to consider the risks of AI and decide how they can be reduced through coordinated action.
All right. So, what kind of a battle do we have on our hands as far as artificial intelligence is concerned? Many experts around the globe have been warning against its destructive powers, and now no less than the United Nations has said that AI needs to be regulated, else it can lead to unimaginably catastrophic consequences. Let's understand this entire issue with our expert. Joining me on the show tonight is Jiten Jain, a familiar face on this show. He's, of course, a cybersecurity expert and director of Digital Lab Voyager InfoSec. Welcome, Jiten. Let me start by asking you a simple question. How do you react to the fact that for the first time ever, the United Nations decided to hold a special session to discuss artificial intelligence and what it means for us? The Secretary General has said that the malicious use of AI systems for terrorist, criminal or state purposes can cause horrific levels of death and destruction and deep psychological damage on an unimaginable scale. Its creators themselves have warned that much bigger, potentially catastrophic and existential risks lie ahead. Clearly, AI needs to be tamed according to the UN, and now it wants to set up a separate body on the lines of, let's say, the IAEA to regulate the use of artificial intelligence around the globe. What explains the fact that the UN is expressing so much alarm over artificial intelligence?
I think Neha, what happened today at UN and the statement by the Secretary General about the potential misuse of AI, the dangers of AI, and the chances of it causing it evil at scale. I mean, one could not disagree with it. I mean, we fully agree what he was saying. But I think there is a context and pretext to what is happening today. The context is that after the use or the launch of generative AI by masses in forms of Chat GPT 1, 2, 3, and 4, and many other tools, barred by Google and Microsoft and Facebook's Lambda, I think people have realized that the potential misuse of AI is much more dangerous than probably the good it can offer. I think it can add value in terms of medical treatments, technology at scale, doing massive research in biotechnology and, in terms of medical research or even predictive intelligence, weather forecast. I mean, AI can be good for many things, but the dangers it can cause in terms of mass disinformation, manipulation of masses by social media, using deepfake videos, deepfake audios, running a world-scale disinformation campaigns. It has the ability to put falsehood at the equivalent scale with the truth and the reality. I mean, that is the danger we are facing today. But I think so. Would fully agree with the statement of Antonio Guterres, the Secretary General, about the dangers and threats AI poses. But I think his suggestion or attempt to create a multilateral institution or or a regulatory body like IAEA under UN umbrella to regulate AI is, in my opinion, nothing but a lost battle by a failed institution. I mean, UN has not been able to deliver anything in last 20 years. There are no reforms on the Security Council. There are at least 15 countries which have got nuclear weapons, but only 5 sits with a veto on the Security Council. There is no intent and will to reform. I mean, it has become a selective cocon of few countries who just want to dominate the global good or the global power. Second, I think today, even in those 5 or 6 elements on the Security Council, 2 are turning rogue. You are seeing a full-scale war of aggression by Russia against Ukraine. You are seeing a belligerent China who's just willing to go, every way to implement this principle of buy, beg, and borrow, or just steal the technology and go for a technological leap by hacking, by espionage, by surveillance. So we have got 2 rogue elements in those 5 members in Security Council, but despite of that, there is no intent to reform. Second, I think look at the nuclear weapons. Despite of all these nuclear bodies and everything, I mean, we could not stop Iran from developing nuclear weapons. We could not stop North Korea. So I think it's a failed institution which has not been able to deliver on anything. And then you come to terrorism, which is the single biggest threat to the world today. Even today, there is no singular definition of terrorism, even by UN. I mean, we do not even have a common definition of terrorism. I mean, every terrorist India takes to UN Security Council for designated a list of, for terrorism, China blocks it. And there is nothing you can do. So I think this whole mechanism, even if you bring another body to, in a way, regulate internet, but US is already attempting. I mean, UN has a body called UN Government Group of Government Experts to, have some sort of say in internet governance. But they just only meet, discuss, have a cup of coffee, and go and publish some papers. It doesn't have any real effect on internet governance. So even if you were to form a body to regulate AI tomorrow, I don't think. I mean, it will be a situation where some countries who do not have the AI enough technology or research in the AI, they might comply with it. The countries who do not even have willpower or economic muscle, they might comply with it. But countries which have got good progress or research in the generative AI or AI-based weapons, or the rogue elements like China and Russia, they will never comply with those UN regulations or UN bodies or whatever sanctions or regulations they may come up. So I think it is not going to serve any purpose except having a good meetings in air-conditioned rooms in New York and having some chai or samosas together. Beyond that, I think those who have the technology, they will go for it, they will pursue it, they will use it, they will misuse it, they will do it. I mean, they will use it in every manner for their national interest. And those who don't have it will still strive to get it and develop it. So I don't think everybody, there is nobody which is going to stop, even if UN wants to regulate.
Jiten, I have to say that I cannot blame you for a second for your cynicism about the UN and its functioning and essentially its massive failures. I think I would call myself a skeptic too, given the United Nations track record, given that there is currently a massive war going on between Russia and Ukraine. There's been, as you pointed out, proliferation of nuclear weapons in so many different parts of the world. The list goes on. And you've actually given us quite a comprehensive list and multiple reasons to believe that perhaps this is a lost cause and a non-starter for the UN to set up a separate entity of its own in the hope to regulate artificial intelligence and ensure its misuse. But coming back to the dangers of artificial intelligence, and I'm not suggesting here that artificial intelligence does not, cannot be used for good. However, what we're discussing tonight are the risks and the dangers that it poses. The Secretary General, amongst other things, said that talking about the advent of generative AI, for example, tools such as ChatGPT, it could be a defining moment for disinformation and hate speech. It could add a new dimension to the manipulation of human behavior. You talked about the dangers of deepfake videos, for example, that the internet already seems to be flooded with. But another very serious concern has been expressed, not just by the UN Secretary General, but also by others, including the UK Foreign Secretary, James Cleverly, who in fact presided over this particular session of the United Nations. And I want to quote for you, Jiten, and for our viewers, what James Cleverly said during this special UN session. He said, "We urgently need to shape the global governance of transformative technologies because AI knows no borders. No country will be untouched by it. AI could enhance or disrupt global strategic stability. It challenges our fundamental assumptions about defense and deterrence. It poses moral questions about accountability for lethal decisions on the battlefield. AI could aid the reckless quest for weapons of mass destruction by state and non-state actors alike, but it could also help us stop proliferation." How would you weigh in on this, Jiten? How serious are the dangers posed by AI in the areas of, let's say, terrorism, war, and weapons of mass destruction?
I think when you speak of technology, Neha, be it cyber weapons or AI, deterrence is the only defense. There is no other way. So if you have enough capacity to deter someone, you will be able to defend yourself. I mean, let me ask you three questions. Despite of UN coming into this shape 70, 80 years ago and having this, UN Security Council and these bodies like IAEA and Comprehensive Test Ban Treaty, NPTs and all those things, could it stop many other countries like Israel, Iran, India, Korea to pursue their nuclear ambitions? It could not. I mean, every country will pursue technology in their own national interest for their own national security requirements. Two, who are these people who are suggesting that we should regulate AI? Who are these countries? Who are the people who have written this letter that let's stop, research in AI for next 10 years till we figure out what can go wrong? The very same people, set of people who from last 15 years have been spending millions and billions of dollars in the AI research to develop these products, launch these products into the market, capture the market. Once they have captured the market, once they monopolize the market, once they have, achieved a certain level, now they don't want any other country like India, China, or Russia to match them, to invest further, money into the AI research and come at par. So what do? You start pitching this whole propaganda of let's regulate the research in AI, let's stop the research in AI, let's have a body, let's decide whether we should have a technology proliferation or not, let's have a regulatory body which can deal with the technology transfer. I mean, these are all, high-ended dreams. Nothing will happen out of it. And it's just a quest of UK to become a global, house of some sort of AI regulatory body post Brexit. But I don't think it is going to serve any purpose. Let's assume for a minute that even if 140 countries or 180 countries were to sign some sort of treaty that we will regulate the use of research and AI, we will not use AI for disinformation, we will not use AI for the weaponization or weapons of mass destruction, we will not use AI for defense, offensive robots or offensive technology. Would you actually believe that these countries will not secretly pursue their AI research for weaponization of technology? Every country will. China will. Russia will. I mean, no matter what papers you make them sign, in reality, everybody will pursue. And once they achieve a certain level, they will start, helping their allies. I mean, like Pakistan helped North Korea achieve the nuclear ambitions. So I think this is just a lost battle by a failed institution. It is not going to serve any purpose. What India should focus is that how do we invest in AI? How do we have our own in-house company or homegrown companies who can compete with the likes of Chat GPT, Lambda, or Bard? How we can use our own homegrown generative AI for our defense purposes, for our national security ambitions. I think that is the thing we must focus on. We should not get into this, into this propaganda of having some sort of regulatory body and have a newer technology-based world order. I don't think it is going to serve any purpose, and nobody is going to buy it.